Hey guys, and welcome to a new video. Today, I think it's day number 4 of the league. I'm pretty sure, let me check. Day number 4 of the league. And I'm playing Fireburst. I'm playing Fireburst, Auto Bomber, Elementalist, the skill that got nerfed the most, I think. I talked about that yesterday, or at least in the previous update video. Nerfed in the damage effectiveness, the cluster jewel, the internal cooldown, everything got nerfed. But the most important thing, I really enjoy this build, and I'm really having a blast playing this build. I would say, based on the changes that I've made to the past video, the gear didn't change at all. I'm still running the same useless shit amulet, my gold rim, my chaos heart. So I would say overall gear investment, I would say, is about 100 exalts. Yeah, almost 100 chaos worth of gear. Then I spend probably 100 chaos worth of flasks and 100 or 200 chaos worth of jewels, my first large cluster jewel and stuff like that. So I would say overall, maybe in the current version, like somewhere like 4 exalts, I would say, which is doing fine, I would say. We're currently running yellow tier maps. I'm doing a lot of like Atlas blasting. We did from like Atlas completion 30 to like 83 now, so we're half done. Well, not already half done, because I just blast a bunch of like low tier yellows, whites. I'm starting to get my first red tier maps. So it's going okay. The damage is fine. The clear speed is really good. Boss damage could be better. I think at the moment I have like 250k ignite DPS, shaper DPS. I could easily buy like a replica Ember Wake once I get my first towers of the league and stuff. We're gonna see about that. But today's video, I want to take a look at the skill tree, at the flask setup, and one map showcase. Map showcase we're gonna start right away, because this is probably the most important one. Since I said last time it was like only yellow tier maps. What do we have here? Big map. Probably this is a tier 10 map now on Awakening 2. I was like just running low tier maps, tier 2, tier 3. Now we have a tier 10. And the only thing that changed is basically the flasks and like a couple of rare jewels. So nothing really too fancy. Still not big on a budget, pretty much. But the build itself, it's just a walking simulator. Now that I fixed my flasks, I'm really just holding down one button, which is my withering step, and my flasks manually, or at least not manually, but automatically pull off. I don't need to do anything else. The only thing I have to do something is on a league mechanic. When we talk about the league mechanic, it's important to know that there is 2 things that you don't want to have, really. One is the avoid elemental ailments. That's like one that has like 4 or 5 lines. You easily see that. That's like monsters will be immune to like ignite, freeze, shock, and whatnot. You don't want to have that one. And you don't want to have immune to chaos damage, because our build relies on fire damage that the enemy gets taken as chaos damage, right? So if you go chaos immunity for monsters, you're not going to deal any damage to them. Fire damage, you can skip, you don't have to. Our main damage is fire damage from Fire Burst, but you still can do it. You're just going to have low DPS, but you will still be able to do it. So I would say, in this case, we're just going to try to use as many as we can. Immune physical, absolutely no problem. Let's get this over here to get both chests. This one over here, let's take this one, and the last one, I don't know, this one. So that's how I do it. I just try to connect as many as possible, and I try to stay away from the ailment immunity, because obviously as an ailment build you kind of want to deal damage, and staying away from the chaos one. We are currently level 96, and no, I did not purely go to level 96 once we started blasting maps, because obviously at the moment there is like, we don't really get any experience, like maybe 1% in like every 20 maps or so. But the thing is, a friend of mine, Thick, is using or is playing a lot of 5 ways. His main focus is farming currency in 5 ways, and sometimes if he needs somebody to reset the waves for him and stuff, or he is asking guild if somebody needs some free experience, then I'm sometimes joining, and that's why I'm level 96 already in low tier maps. I mean, it's kind of ridiculous if you actually grind up to 96 in white tier maps. But anyways, as you see, absolutely no problem, just running around, blowing stuff up, and as I said, the damage is fine. The opportunities are, we do have a lot of opportunities, but I still need to POB now that we have the updated POB versions with all the new support gems and stuff like that. Now I can actually check what would be the best support gems now after all the changes, what are the most efficient cluster jewels, since all of them got nerfed. Burning Bright as an example. Burning Bright used to be the best and strongest fire cluster jewel together with Blowback. Burning Bright gives you fire dot multi AoE and burning damage, or fire damage, and Blowback gives you 50% ignite faster. So the ignite faster is now 8%, and the Burning Bright had lost all his fire dot multi. So it's very hard to get fire dot multi on this build, or other than just rare jewels. And that makes me think, is Blowback Burning Bright the current best way to scale your damage? I don't think so. I think Burning Bright was usually used because of the 8% fire dot multi, which is insane. But now, since it only has like 30% fire damage, I think the other nodes to give you like 20% damage over time and like 6% max life are overall just better. And that's why I'm like, maybe have to consider, right? Then maybe there is one node that destroys corpses on kill. I don't know if that still works with the ignite proliferation. I need to test this. Otherwise, I would use this one single time just to, how you say, to get rid of corpses for like these, the chests, for example, the strong boxes, where the monsters basically explode the corpses, or porcupines and stuff like that. That might be a solution. Or, in the other hand, yeah, we're gonna see what class of jewels it's going to be. About the Ascendancy now, then I've done Ubalab. There's like two options, right? One is the Mastermind and the Heart of Destruction. While Heart of Destruction gives you 30% more elemental damage, which is a big boost to your damage. But since our build deals chaos damage, or it deals fire damage, I need to make this clear. We still deal fire damage. We still scale fire damage. Just the enemy takes chaos damage. So if I scale chaos.multi, I will not gain any DPS. Okay. So this would still increase my damage by a lot, but this one is useless. This is an exposure one, and there is no chaos exposure. So we could say big DPS, useless kill point. The other way would be Bastion of Elements to get another defensive layer with the Primal Aegis, and then Shaper of Winter. So we used Cold Conduction. Cold Conduction was a cluster jewel node that said all enemies that are shocked are chilled, and all chilled enemies are shocked. You know? Why do we use that? Because of the Sadist node. Sadist increased elemental damage if you chilled an enemy, ignite an enemy, blah, 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 blah. Chilled, ignited, shocked, okay? We ignite with Shaper of Flames, we shock with Shaper of Storms, and now we chill with Shaper of Winter. So that means when I use those three, plus the Bastion of Elements, plus the chill is actually a defensive layer, monsters are slower, they are slowed in action speed, they don't attack as often, it's easier to kite and stuff, you know. We get 60% increased elemental damage if you've chilled recently. Then I went with Prismatic Heart and Widespread Destruction. I think the better solution would be Corrosive Elements, or whatever it's called. Basically, that is then in the back, and Prismatic Heart moves over here, so you're saving those 2 skill points. Other than that, the skill tree pretty much the same. I use now the Divine Judgment since I got a bunch of levels. I had this levels over. I would not usually take this bottom side here, but the 50% increased elemental damage from Divine Judgment is pretty big. Then let's talk about the jewels that I have. One thing here, the Efficient Training converts intelligence into strength. I need this one to actually equip the Chaos Heart since it has a 191 strength requirement. The other jewels are all the same. Fire.multi, life burning damage. I would say if you were to buy some of these rare jewels, I would say the most important thing is life. Life is just important. Next thing, fire.multi. Then I would go for burning damage. And then I would go for fire damage. This would be the best cluster. So this is percentage fire damage, by the way. It's like 60%. This is like the best jewel that I think. Triple damage, life. But this is exactly how I would buy them. Like fire.multi life you get for 1 chaos. Then with burning damage together, it's like 30, 40 chaos. And with fire damage, I haven't even checked, but I wouldn't wonder if that would go for like 2, 3, 4 exalts, because this is the jewel that I used as my on my last league's fire burst as the end game jewel. It cost like 20, 30x to make perfect. You know, it's really hard to get good ones. Maybe you'll get this one cheap, because this is a good point of the build, right? If we check PoE Ninja right now, PoE Ninja, and we go to builds, you're gonna see that currently there's only 1% of players playing Elementalist. 1%. You know, usually Elementalist is like over here because Burning Arrow, but Ignite got nerfed so heavily that nobody wants to play it. And that's a good thing because now I get my stuff, and if you want to play Fireburst too, this stuff is like super cheap. For example, I don't know, last time it was 30 Chaos, I bought mine for 17, now it's 40 Chaos. The Black Flame Ring, now 40 Chaos. Okay, the prices are rising a little bit. Chaos Heart still 30 Chaos. The other items, yeah, I don't have any, right? So I'm just saying, the large cluster jewel, this one, usually goes for like 3-4 exalts. I bought this for 90 chaos, which is a bit more than 1 exalt, right? So Ignite stuff is super cheap because it's just not matter at all. And at the moment, as I said, 1% of people are playing Elementalist. So, and most of them are playing like golems or minions or what is this? Stone Golem, Carrot. So most of them are summoners. So you barely see any Fireburst. I'm like on the top here. There's like, here's another probably one that plays Fireburst. Now he's playing Storm Secret Auto Bomber. So I think in this list, I'm literally the only one playing Fireburst here on number rank 3. I still think the skill is great. Yes, it got nerfed to the ground, but I still think it's great. So, good. POB is in the description below from the current setup. Now we're going to talk a little bit about the flasks. I got this one from Crouching Tuna. He made a guide on how to make those. Just search for Crouching Tuna, you will probably find his flask thing. And the way he does that is using an overflowing chalice. Like once this one is... it will use, so we need the new orbs basically to craft this, right? You have the, what is it, the Instilling Orb and the Enkindling Orb, and that's why I say I paid over 100 chaos for my flasks. Not the flasks were expensive, but I was so unlucky with rerolling those modifiers. So you're using the Instilling Orb and reroll those. They can be used on full charges, used when the duration is gone, used when you're blinded, when you're chilled, when you use a guard skill. There's like 10 different variations, and you want to have this one when charges are full. So every time you are like killing monsters, this one is full, it automatically pops off, and then your other charges get more charges. So then I have like this one, used when an adjacent flask is used. That means when the flask adjacent is like next to each, okay? So if I use this one goes off. If I use this one goes off too, because the next flask is like this, and we're gonna see. And I have the same here on the Aetiris Promise. So if I use this one gets automatically off. When this one gets automatically off, this one gets off too, right? So I'm using the first flask and all three I use it, right? And since this is an automated progress, every time I have enough charges and use the flask, the other two will go off too. And then I have a Quicksilver flask with used when charges are full. This is not adjacent, so this is one... basically, once I'm in a map, I get full charges, it gets used, you know? And then, since this one is used, this one is the adjacent flask here too. So either this one goes off or that one goes off, the other two get reactivated, right? Both go off, and then I use my Quicksilver flask, both go off as well. So that means I never have to do anything. I kill the first monster in the map, the Quicksilver and the Overflowing Chalice go off because they are both on full charges. And then they're just like, as long as this one runs, you cannot get any charges, but therefore the other one will reactivate itself until this one is full again, then this one goes off. So it's just permanently sustaining your flasks, and then I just have a life flask that I use on my mouse button, because I'm literally playing this build without keyboard, because I don't need to press buttons to play the build, I don't need to press flasks, and the only three things that I have on my mouse is basically my Stonebrand, for bosses or to activate the Herald of Thunder, then my life flask, and yeah, that's pretty much it, those two buttons, and that's what I do for mapping. Good, for the next map, or for the next, what do you say, next day of farming, basically, I will try to now finally finish all the white tier maps. I think I'm almost done with them. There's probably like 5 or 6 maps missing. Then I'm gonna do all the yellow tier maps. So at the end of the day, I want to start finally only high tier mapping, trying to get the progress as fast as possible, to then get to a point where I'm just running T14 plus on Awakener 8. I also need to go for the unique maps. I've like done one single unique map, so probably gonna invest like an Exalt in, or maybe 2 Exalts, I don't know what the prices are. Just buy all the unique maps and get like an additional 20 Atlas objective, because the more Atlas objective we have, the better it is, just because we have a lot more map sustain, and you guys gonna see it, like how much maps are actually sustained. I have no chance of actually running all of that. Good. Long video. If you're wondering what MTX it is, mystery boxes. Alright guys, thanks for tuning in, thanks for watching, and see you in the next video. bye.